So in last week's video, I talked about CBO versus ABO, what the differences are, and which one I actually prefer. If you do not have a chance to take a look at that, you can go ahead and watch it right here. But in this week's video, I'm going to build upon that and now show you my optimized campaign structure. This is the campaign structure that I use for honestly probably 90% of campaigns. There are changes here and there based upon certain scenarios, but what I'm about to show you, it's going to cover pretty much the vast majority of your campaigns, and you're going to definitely want to stay tuned until the end because there's a lot of small nuances I'm going to point out throughout the video that make a big difference in the impact of your results. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so here we are inside of Facebook Ads Manager, and this is for a conversions campaign, optimizing for leads, since that's the vast majority of the campaigns that most of the viewers of this channel are going to be conducting. So here we are at the campaign level, but let's go ahead and dive into the campaign and start jumping into the ad set level, because here, right, we just kind of choose our objective, and it's pretty simple and straightforward here. However, one thing that I will note here is that, right, I do have Advantage Campaign Plus deselected right here. If you want to know why, again, check out my video from last week when I talked about CBO versus ABO. But without further ado, let's go to the ad set level right here. And so here's what you want to do. This is really critical, and a big mistake that a lot of people make is that you want to separate your ad sets into unique audiences. A very common mistake that I see a lot of people make is that they will stuff every single possible interest that, you know, might be related to their business into one single ad set. But the problem with that is that, let's say your performance is fantastic, or your performance is awful. You're not going to know what causes that to happen, right? So if your results are amazing, and you have things in there like Walmart mixed in with Tony Robbins, mixed in with UFC, right? All these just like random things going in there, right? Is it which of those interests is actually driving the results? You're not going to know. And then vice versa, right? If your results are tanking, you're not going to know what's actually creating those results to tank. So it's very, very important to separate out your audiences into unique categories and into individual ad sets. So here's an example of that. We've got 4 different ad sets, and as you can see, I've split them up in terms of, you know, what it is that they're selling, so to speak, or what type of business they are, right? So here we have furniture sellers, here we have startup businesses, handmade products. It's actually handmade product sellers, but that's a little bit of a long name for ad set name, so I just called it handmade products, and then jewelry sellers. So let's kind of break this down a little bit more one by one. And as you can see here, actually, before I keep going on, I'm using ad set level budget. Each one of these here is specifically assigned $40 a day. So let's dive deeper into the targeting right here. So we'll see right here, right, you know, United States, Canada, 30 to 60, female. Again, that's specific on this client's target audience. You're gonna wanna make the adjustments that are appropriate for you. But then when we get into the actual targeting options, right, it's handcraft, furniture or decorative arts, field of study, interior design, and decoration. But I'm trying to narrow that down, right? Because, you know, if you just put furniture or decorative arts, that doesn't mean that's a professional, right? There's a lot of hobbyists that, you know, are really into furniture and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that A, this person is a business, and B, they're actually interested in investing in themselves. And I try to determine that by the fact that they're interested in people who are under the umbrella of personal development, right? So it's these interests right here, and they must also match Brendan Bouchard, Amy Porterfield, Chalene Johnson, et cetera, right? A lot of people that kind of fall on the personal development category, meaning, you know, they're interested in investing in themselves more often than not. And then they also must be some sort of small business, entrepreneur, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the furniture sellers one. If we go to startup, you're going to see a similar breakdown: Investopedia, Startup Weekend, Women in the Workforce, etc. Right? That doesn't mean that they're a business, though, or it doesn't even mean that they're interested in investing in themselves, right? So again, must also match Seed Accelerator, Angel Investor, etc., and then must also match Silicon Valley, Venture Capital, Business Incubator. No, sorry, I'm getting in front who's an actual business versus just a hobbyist or someone who's passionate about talking about the industry. Same thing here with the handmade product sellers. All these categories that, you know, could fall under the handmade arena, so to speak. Same thing in terms of being interested in personal development, and then lastly, all those interests regarding being some type of business. And then last but not least, same process here again for the jewelry sellers that you see here. So again, make sure you split all these categories. I would not put furniture sellers, startup people, handmade product people, and jewelry sellers all in the same ad set, simply because, again, I want to know what actually drives results. I'm not going to know that if I stuff everything into a single ad set. I want to split my ad sets out and that's the way I'm going to get the best results. So kind of going back to the ad set settings right here, in this case we're choosing website because we're sending people to a website to opt into a form, but again, you could technically do, you know, messenger or lead form depending on the structure of your campaign. Daily budget 40, right? Obviously that's dependent on what your specific goals are and what you can handle. So that's not, I'm not saying that's the optimal amount, but it's just what makes sense for this client. And then down here, I am selecting Advantage Plus placements, or in other words, all placements. That's what it kind of used to be called. That is what I choose for the vast majority of my campaigns. You know, a lot of people do like to kind of come in here and then only do the feed placements, right? So they'll like deselect all of this right here, and then this, and then just choose Facebook feed and Instagram feed. And I get it, right? At the end of the day, those are the premium placements. That is where you want it to be ultimately. But the problem with doing it this way is that by deselecting all these other placements, you're giving the algorithm less opportunity to find your target audience. You're restricting the algorithm, and therefore that's going to increase your CPM, and that's going to overall increase your cost. So like I said, for the vast majority of placements, I'm choosing Advantage Plus, aka all placements. You know, there certainly is a time and place for a customized placement, right? So sometimes I'll run ads that are specific to the stories and reels placements. But like I said, you know, vast majority of the time, I'm just sticking with all placements right there. And then for something that's free, you go with the 1-day click attribution window. Honestly, it doesn't really matter too much if you choose 1-day click or view versus 1 day. Point is, you choose one of those as opposed to the 7-day. If you're driving traffic to a paid product that is, you know, $50 or more, then, you know, choosing the 7-day is fine. But here we're driving something that's free, and that is really the best way to do it. And then in terms of the individual ads, so in here, inside each ad set, I have 4 ads. Again, that's not the magical number you want to have, but the reason I have 4 is because I'm spending $40 per ad set. So I have a little bit of a rule in terms of how many ads you can successfully have in an ad set. And for every $10, I add 1 ad, right? So if this is a $20 campaign, I'd only have 2 ads in there. There'd be no point in having 4 ads. There's just not enough budget for the algorithm to properly test with all 4 ads. So 2 is fine. If it was $30 a day, it'd be 3. If it was $50 a day, I would have 5 in there. There is a law of diminishing returns though, right? So it's not like if I am spending $1,000, I have 100 ads or something like that. I've never run an ad set, you know, with more than 8 ads in it. Because at the end of the day, right, you're gonna get to a point where even if you're spending a lot of money, let's say $1,000 a day, it's just not going to distribute the budget to a lot of the ads in there. So you're just wasting your time. So like I said, 8 is about the maximum. So, you know, I'll keep on kind of increasing the number of ads. Once I get past $80 a day, I really don't put in more than 8. And, you know, as always, I always do encourage, you know, mixing things up, right? So these have different graphics, different ad copy variations, because I'm giving the algorithm options. That's another big mistake that people make, is that they go all in on one ad with one copy, one creative, all kind of stuff, and you're essentially predicting that this is what is the best way to bring people into your business, which you don't know, right? You want to give the algorithm options, and you let the algorithm determine what is actually going to work best for you. And then lastly, at the ad level, right, obviously you've got your copy and all kind of stuff, but importantly, to track your true results, you want to make sure you're putting in those UTM parameters in there. That way you have the data inside of Google Analytics, because even though you're not going to see everything inside Facebook Ads Manager in terms of accurate data, you're going to have all the accurate data inside of Google Analytics. And if you don't know how to do that, I have another video, which I'll link down below, that walks you through how to do all that process inside of Google Analytics. So there is your optimized campaign structure. This is how I do for 90% of my campaigns. I'm doing ABO. I'm doing separate ad sets for unique audiences. I'm choosing the 1-day click window for free things, 7-day click for things that are $50 or more. I have 1 ad for every $10 I add to an ad set, so on and so forth. So if you follow this structure, you're gonna find a lot more success with your campaigns moving forward. All right, and there you have it. So hopefully you enjoyed that video, but as always, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. And if there are any of the topics that you want me to cover, also let me know, and I'll be happy to do so in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.